Former Bush 43 spokesperson Mercedes Schlapp, Independent Women Forum Patrice Leonuca, and, of course, former Obama staffer Steve Shell. I always want to be fair out there. So, Steve, ended with you, and I know you're not one to punt and blame others for misfortunes. Do you share the view that this is everyone's fault but the message of Democrats?
Well, I mean, I do and I don't. I don't think it's necessarily a choice.
Here we go. I shouldn't have gotten to you first. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Neil, let me finish out. So, but they let the race get to a place because of a failure to communicate with working white class voters that the race was close in the closing days. And, take Florida, for example. If Democrats win 40% of the white vote in Florida, Republicans can't win. But because the race got so close, it allowed it to be shaped by late developments. And, yeah, I mean, you talk about 80,000 votes in 3 states. That's 40,000 people changing their mind in the last week. Here in Florida, certainly we saw a really late-breaking race. And so, yeah, I think the developments late really impacted the outcome of the race. But it's frankly our fault that we let it get that close.
Well, that's not a bad sort of a step-back view. I admire that. Patrice Leonuca, one of the things I think of when I always hear this, and by the way, Republicans have played this before. I heard 4 years ago some stories we couldn't get our message out, the media was biased. So I understand that. But in this case, it seems to go in hyperdrive more than 4 weeks after the fact. So now hearing talk that Michael Moore wants to have protest on Inauguration Day, they're just not going to let go. There's no intention of letting go.
You know, self-reflection after a bruising loss is understandable, but this is not self-reflection. This is not maturity. And again, it underscores the fact that they're ignoring what Americans want. I mean, it's not surprising that CNBC just released a report that found, a 17% increase in the number of Americans who think the economy is going to improve, and that's just after the election because of Donald Trump. So Americans are looking at forward-looking.
Why are you quoting a CNBC survey on this network? That's fine. I like the findings of that, but we'll forgive that because you're such a good guest. But Mercedes, let me get a take from you now as we wait for the president-elect. He's going to be stumping in Louisiana on behalf of a Republican candidate who has a very good shot of adding to the lead in the Senate there, or at least confirming that lead and making sure it's a Republican Senate. And I'm beginning to think maybe part of the strategy here is to get people thinking, don't see this as a mandate, don't see this as a popular consensus behind what you do because you, Donald Trump, lost the popular vote. I've heard that from guests on this very show, so that this is always like a constant reminder, let people know that. What do you think?
Well, I think that the Democrats are going to stick to that point. It's one argument that they can make when they have lost the election. Obviously, Neil, it's very clear that those Americans out there, millions of Americans, voted for Donald Trump. He won these battleground states, and he was able to sell them on this economic message. And I think that he does have a mandate, and he's going to be bringing it to Congress. And they've got to be ready, because you're going to see some of this infighting happen even within the Republican Party. You're going to see Donald Trump, who will push for possibly a tariff, and you've already seen pushback from some of the leaders in the Republican Party. So I think that Donald Trump is a leader. He's going to push forward a results-driven economic agenda for the American worker. He's willing to talk to these corporations to make things happen and keep businesses and corporations at home. And so I think that he has to. It is important for each president to carry on their mandate. Obama had his, and now it's Donald Trump's turn.
All right, well, watch closely, guys. So much breaking news here. I appreciate your indulgence.